My friends, how's it hanging? Nazabro here, and we of course have a ludicrous amount of news to talk about in every single direction. There's all the RTS stuff, of course, that I am excited about, as well as the very cool classic news too, but today I want to keep the focus a bit more laser targeted at modern WoW, since that is the main thing that keeps on moving this franchise forward. Just a heads up, I was working on a video about the Direct in general, but I was not able to finish it on the day that the Direct actually aired. And then I had to travel the next day for pretty much the whole week, being away from my computer and unable to edit. A general overview of the Direct would probably be very outdated by now, so I'm just going to keep things focused on each topic instead. Starting today, of course, with that new roadmap. These roadmaps are always great since it obviously gives us insight into when we'll get future content and what that content will be, but Blizz has also been very cheeky with these roadmaps in the past and continues to be with this new one. Blizz and their funny mystery logos. Remember the original Plunderstorm tease? Well, we've got a similar goofy tease this time, which we will get into when we get there.
There has also been an updated version of this roadmap that Blizz put out later, but I started making this video before that updated version showed up. So for most of this video, it's going to be the first version, and then I'll switch to talking about the updated version later, because it does change a few things and rendered a whole bunch of my recording pointless.
Let's start going through this thing in order, since that makes the most sense. The first thing coming up is, of course, 1107, the Siren Isle patch, which we have known about for some time already. We've gotten the lowdown about the patch before, but let's go through its content in case you, yes, you sitting there specifically, you know who you are, don't know what's up. 1107 will introduce a smaller patch zone called Siren Isle, a craggy little island with a bunch of different things to do. The island was once a Cold Tyrant Azurite mine back during the Fourth War, but something weird has happened with it and has caused all the inhabitants to just up and vanish. We go there with our Goblin, Earthen, and Arathi homies to investigate and get to fight a good variety of enemies that rotate out each week. Every now and then the island will be hit by big storms that make it more dangerous, and you can use some fun tools like mechs and bombs and stuff to combat the creatures that get blown in. You can donate to the friendly lads on the island to tackle powerful mobs, and empower this new ring that sounds a whole lot like the Onyx Amulet from Dragonflight's Forbidden Reach patch, or that Card Puncher trinket from Mechagon back in the day. In fact, the whole island very much fills that minor patch minigame feeling zone that started back with the Timeless Isle, a place where there won't be too high stakes, but where you can blow off some steam while just collecting stuff. A highlight is this really cool Thunderbird mount that has apparently been in the game files since Siege of Orgrimmar. That was back in like 2013, by the way. So the content seems very much to fall into that mid-core time filler category in terms of stuff to do. That ring will be powerful though, so even if you're not into collecting stuff, it will still be useful for you, at least for a while into Season 2. If you think you're going to want to get the big meta achievement for all of War Within, the one that will definitely exist later, similar to the Dragonflight one that gives you Typhon, that achievement called A World Awoken, then you should definitely focus on completing Siren Isle's meta achievement while it is current content. You won't regret it, trust me. Like I said, 1107 is the one we do know the most about, but thanks to the Direct, we do know a bunch about 11.1. However, we do have that little piratey banner of Plunderstorm once again gracing our roadmap, hanging in between the two patches. Ian did mention in the Direct that it will be returning, and mentioned that this time the rewards will be obtained by spending plunder in a store, rather than in a linear renown track. So you can target what you want to get first, or just target rewards in general if you don't really care to pick up everything. He didn't make any mention of if it will be all new rewards or not, or if there will be a new map or anything like that, so time will tell. Now for 11.1, named Undermined, we of course have a ton of stuff. It's the start of War Within's second season with the introduction of all the stuff you would have come to expect. A new zone being the Undermined, which I'm sure at this point is no surprise. We also then of course have the new raid, the Liberation of Undermined. The Goblin raid hinted to us from data mining from this single icon from even before the War Within came out. While I'm not really 100% sold on the idea of such a huge Goblin-themed patch in a story where we're supposed to be fighting Xalatath and her Void-aligned allies in an escalating war, I gotta say, this big-ass mecha Devilsaur has me at least a little bit on board. It'll probably be tameable by hunters in like 3 expansions. You'll have to wait a long time. Also, the Supreme Bastard himself, Jastor Gallywix, makes a return for this raid. Now remember, the last time we saw him was back in Shadowlands where he was seen making some shady deals with the brokers. You know, the interdimensional cosmic hoarders of artifacts, knowledge, and power. Who knows what Gallywix has up his sleeve at this point, and I'll be looking forward to kicking his ass again. We're also getting something that we haven't seen since, I think, Legion? That being a whole new regular dungeon mid-expansion. This one called Operation Floodgate. This dungeon will be part of the Season 2 dungeon pool, alongside the other 4 War Within dungeons that aren't active right now in Season 1, and 3 other Legacy dungeons, one of which is confirmed to be the Motherlode to tie in with all the Goblin shenanigans. Interestingly, the whole roadmap makes no mention of a new Mega Dungeon at all, but instead the 2 regular dungeons spread between the 2 major patches. I do think this means we won't be seeing one this expansion, which I do think is unfortunate. The Mega Dungeons are usually really cool. Return to Karazhan was amazing. I do think Dawn of the Infinite was really fun as well. And I hope we will see another one in Midnight. Undermined also sees the introduction of basically a dynamic ground mount, a souped up goblin hot rod to speed around the streets of Undermined. You can apparently tune the thing's stats like speed, acceleration, traction, and have it perform however you want. I guess you could say we really are playing Need for Speed underground. Hope it feels good, since this is 100% a test to see if a dynamic ground mount system is something that people will like instead of just skywriting everywhere. I'm all for it. I love some of my ground mounts and I can't wait to race around in this car. Hopefully the system does exist in the future past just the car. There will be 2 new delves as well as new variants to the old delves. Bran will still be our delve homie, but apparently he will be getting a seasonal refresh in terms of artifacts and stuff, so that's cool as well. New renowns to level, all themed around the Goblin cartels. Ian makes a mention that you can choose to help the cartel of your choice, but I don't think it was clear whether this is a permanent choice or just a thing you can choose each week. I expect the latter, to be honest. Some new warband stuff. We'll be getting our first editions of login screen warband camps, none of which we have seen yet, but still pretty cool. And that's all the major stuff for Undermined, which is, yeah, mostly the expected stuff we have heard a decent amount about already, so let's check what's next. 11.15 is interesting. New content, Nightfall. That sounds pretty menacing. In my mind, that has got to be related to maybe the Arathi and Hallowfall. Maybe some new kind of world event in Hallowfall to tie into Beladar's shifts? Similar to how Patches and Dragonflight added events like the Dream Surges, though I do hope it's more substantial than Dream Surges though. Also in 11.15 we've got something else menacing, a reprise of Horrific Visions. Yes, I actually enjoyed Horrific Visions back in BFA, as somewhat of a casual player back then, and I'm hoping this revisited version has more stuff going on with it and isn't just a scaled up version for the patch. I imagine these new Horrific Visions will probably tie into the Nightfall content, similar to how the Horrific Visions of the past tied into the N'Zoth invasions. Ooh, wait a minute. What if the Nightfall stuff is the Void invading other regions of the world that eventually leads into the big climax of Midnight? Void invasions kind of similar to the N'Zoth stuff, but more cosmic voidy than Old God tentacles. Sounds pretty cool. Let me know what you guys think. And then, most menacing of all, we've got Children's Week update. Incredibly spooky. Moving on to 11.17, we've got new story and quests, something that isn't present in 11.15, keep in mind, as well as generic and vague new content and system updates. Basically, they don't have whatever the patch thing is in a state where they can show it off yet, so no point on speculating. We do see a return of Turbulent Time Waste though, which is always fun. Getting into summer, we then see 11.2 with the mostly vague confirmations of all the stuff we already expect. New zone, raid, events, that second new dungeon, new open world challenges? That's listed separately from events. Not sure what to make of that, to be honest. But we also see a Brewfest update and some generic and vague warbands and seasonal reward updates. The warband updates bit, I'm not expecting too much. I know people have been requesting something like the ability to use your own ults as NPCs in follower dungeons, which I do think would be sick as hell. Something I would probably then use every week for like the dungeon weekly that you can pick up in Dornogal. Maybe some more camp stuff, more retroactive warbound reps from old expansions, that kind of stuff. If you guys have any ideas, let me know in the comments. Obviously, this is all so damn far away, but I'm sure data mining will clue us in later. At the tail end of summer, we do see an expansion reveal for Midnight, probably during the Xbox show of the not E3 anymore new season. I am an enjoyer of WoW's elf lore. It's some of my favorite elf lore from most fantasy settings, so I am incredibly excited for Midnight. And if you're tired of elves, then all I have to say is LOL. LMAO even. Autumn starts with 11.2.5, which sees some more vague content and system updates. And, of course, there's the 21st anniversary event. I wonder how much of the current 20th anniversary event will just be returning every year. Hopefully all of it. It would be a huge waste if not. And it gives everyone more chances to score some more loot, especially if you do want to pick up all of the cool tier 2 ensembles but just don't have the time to get all of the currency. I think it would be neat for Blizzard to make up-resed modern versions of more older tier sets. Let's do Molten Core next or something. 11.2.7 sees more story and quests. Again, not present in the 0.5 patch before it. And new stuff as well.
Okay, and now we get to the end of the roadmap, and this last bit's going to be unscripted because the roadmap was actually updated by Blizzard, and this whole video was previously made with the old version of the roadmap, so there was a bunch of speculating done about this weird, mysterious rune stone that was kind of ambiguous, but people thought it might have been about the player housing, or maybe, I speculated maybe it focused on pre-patch or something for Midnight, but no. With an updated version of the roadmap, Blizz did actually update this icon on the end, and yep, that is definitely player housing, so that's one mystery solved, and we don't really have to think too hard about it anymore. So, it does seem that we are getting the introduction to player housing a little bit before Midnight. I would probably think with pre-patch, at least how they kind of split pre-patch in like 2 parts that they've been doing for a while now. Perhaps one of the parts of pre-patch will include the initial introduction of player housing. If there is a new class that's going to be introduced, that would probably also be when they do that. Whether player housing is in one of the halves of the pre-patch and then the new class comes in the other half. Maybe we'll get a new race to play as well. Maybe it will be High Elves or Naga or something like that. A lot of people are speculating. Maybe we won't get Haranir until the pre-patch. So expect the Midnight pre-patch to be chock full of stuff. Definitely player housing though, right at the end.
And that's your whole 2025 year for modern WoW. Blizzard definitely keeping us busy with events and patches and stuff to keep us occupied. Couple that with Classic getting fresh start servers that will roll over into Burning Crusade, and I will be struggling to find time to play anything other than WoW. I definitely need to find periods of time to take a break. It's always good to take a break if you're ever feeling burnt out. I also would love to hear what you guys think about what we've got coming up. Do you care at all about Siren Isle? Or will you use the patch to take a break? How's the heavy goblin theming working for you? Let me know in the comments what you think. Other than that, if you made it to the end of the video, you're a legend. Drop a like if you enjoy how I do things here, and subscribing would mean the world to me. Until next time, stay safe, bros.